Okay, today we're going to talk about the Get Out Gear TrekChair V2. So let's just address the elephant in the room. If you've looked into this chair, you've probably seen some reviews where it broke. And that's exactly what happened with mine. They sent me a chair for me and a chair for my wife Tina. We took it to the Grand Canyon, worked great, loved it. Took it to the Colorado Trail, and on the first night it broke. I wasn't abusive to the thing. I sat down very gently because we were on the beach. I didn't want it to sink in the sand, but the front assembly, the plastic part at the front end of it, it cracked. Get back home after that trip, wrote to Get Out Gear, said there's no point in doing a review. There were other ones coming out at the time addressing the issue. They said, that's fine. We're going to send you a replacement chair frame, and we kind of parted ways. Fast forward a few months, and they reached back out to me. They had this long press release explaining how they had taken all the broken chairs. They got mine back as well. They had studied them. They'd found what the defect was, and they'd addressed it. They sent me new frames. So now I had 4 frames, 2 old ones, 2 new ones. And I took those out to the desert and did my best to break the crap out of them. Here's how that went. So I didn't just jump into the chairs. The bar on the bottom of them goes between your legs. And if you think about what would happen there, you don't need a PhD in physics to know that that's not a result that I want. So that's kind of why the pillow's there as well. I did lean them up on 2 legs on the side, the other side, the front, the back. I even put them on 1 leg. And when I was there, I kind of tried to bounce a little bit in the chair to try to break them. So my thought was, if the new ones don't break and the old ones do break, that would show that they fixed the problem. If both of them break, they didn't. I couldn't break any of them. I put these things through more abuse than I would ever put a camp chair of mine through. And I couldn't break any of them. You know, all I can say is one was defective and I haven't had any problems. Personally, I'm not worried about them breaking anymore. They do have a 5-year warranty on them, and I've never had a camp chair that made it 5 years, so I'm not worried about breakage. So let's move on to the next complaint. I would see an advertisement for them online, and in the comments, invariably, first 5 to 10 comments, somebody would jump in and say, great, how am I supposed to set up my tent if my Trek poles are attached to my chair? Get Out Gear's response to that is, you take your tent, you use the poles, you set it up, you stake it out, you remove the poles, collapse it, it's still staked out, put the poles on the chair. When you're done at camp, take the chair apart, put the poles in, set the tent back up. Only takes a few seconds. This is true. It's a valid point. You could do that. But for me, backpacking involves a lot of walking, obviously, but the hike is only part of it. Camp is just as important usually as the hike. When I get to camp, the first thing I do is reach for my chair, set it up, and sit down and relax for a minute. Then I go set up my tent. I take all of my gear, shake it out in the tent so that I can access it. Then I go back to the camp chair, sit down, hang out with whoever I'm hiking with, relax, enjoy the evening, and when I'm done, go to bed. Throughout the evening, I'll think, oh, I need to get something to eat. I need my stove, I need my food, I need my headlamp, whatever. You brought the stuff out there to use it. And so throughout the evening, I'll have to get into my tent to access it. If my tent were collapsed and in a pile, that just doesn't work for me. So I cannot recommend this chair if you have a tent that needs trekking poles to set it up. However, I have a freestanding tent. All of my tents are freestanding. Everyone I've ever backpacked with also owned freestanding tents. I feel like a tent that requires trekking poles to set up is more of a ultralight or a thru hiker type of thing, where you want to minimize your weight and volume of what you're carrying. And I don't really think that's the people that a camp chair is marketed for. Every time I've seen a loadout of gear for somebody like that, they either don't have a chair or they have an ass pad. So I just don't know if it's an issue. I mean, I don't know how many people that have that type of tent are wanting a camp chair. I'm generalizing. I know right now I can read the comments. It's like, I have that exact problem. If you do, and you need trekking poles to set up your tent, this is not the chair for you. Moving on, I don't think that we can talk about camp chairs without talking about the top dog, the grandmaster king of all camp chairs, the Helinox Chair Zero. I went out and bought this thing because I had been taking these horrendous, humongous $45 Trekology chairs from Amazon. I carried around the Get Out Gear chair. It was so much lighter and nicer to carry around that I decided I needed something. So I got the Helinox. I finally broke down. This is a 1 pound chair. This is a 1 pound, 6.4 ounce chair. This is like carrying around a lawnmower, car battery. So why wouldn't you just go with the Helinox? A couple of reasons. Firstly, the Helinox costs $150. The Get Out Gear TrekChair, it costs $130 without trekking poles, $200 with trekking poles. So it's less expensive. The second reason is that it has a high back. And really that's the almost entire selling point for this chair is it is a high back chair. So you have back support. Even this monstrosity does not have back support. So with the TrekChair, that's the big thing, is it's got back support. In addition to that, it also has adjustable back support. Because it uses the Trek poles to support the back of the chair, you can extend them out so that the chair is more upright, or you can lower them down so that it's more reclined. So I can say without a shadow of a doubt, the TrekChair is more comfortable than the Helinox Chair Zero. Helinox is not to be outdone. So they've recently come out with a high back version of the Chair Zero. It's slightly heavier than the TrekChair from Get Out Gear, but for all intents and purposes, I think it's like 1 pound, 8 ounces versus 1 pound, 6.4 ounces. Under 2 ounces is negligible. The thing is, the Helinox chair, it gives you that back support, but it doesn't have any adjustability. It uses poles that are rigid, they're one length, no adjustability to it. In addition to that, the Helinox Zero Highback is $180. I do not own the Helinox Highback, but I do have enough knowledge of the company that I'm sure it's a solid chair. It just doesn't have the adjustability and it costs a little more. Warranty-wise, Helinox and Get Out Gear both have the 5-year warranty, so comparable there. Lastly, I want to talk about the poles. The Get Out Gear poles, we have been using them exclusively since we got them. Great set of poles, cork handles, carbon fiber. The thickness of the walls of the poles are twice the thickness of a normal carbon fiber pole, so really strong. All the hardware on them is metal, leather, high quality poles. So those are highly recommended. I've had the really nice black diamond ones. I want to say they cost $150 to $175. These poles are right there with them as far as building quality. Do you want the Get Out Gear TrekChair V2? I think that it's safe to take the breakage issue off the table, but it's still kind of a niche type of an item. If you have a tent that requires poles to set it up, I wouldn't recommend this chair. If you want to go with the lightest thing on the market, you're going to want the Helinox Chair Zero. If you want that back support, it's a pretty tough toss-up. I mean, you have the established Helinox brand, and then you have the Get Out Gear, which is less expensive and adjustable. And if you need trekking poles and a camp chair, man, I mean, the trekking pole camp chair combination is a beautiful deal. Those poles are probably worth $150 and the chair is worth $130, and you get them both for $200. But, you know, you have to need both of those items at the same time. Not sponsored by Get Out Gear. They gave me the chairs not even in exchange for a review because of the issues that came on. I'm just doing this because I wanted to get this out there. I do like the company. I do like the product, but it's not for everybody. So I wanted to clear up some misconceptions and hopefully give you some information so you can make an informed decision if this chair is right for you or not. Thanks for watching.